Hey tubers, welcome back. Yep, you're looking at my Cub Cadet 524. This thing was acting up, wouldn't start. Drained some of the gas from the carburetor, got it all running good. Last time I used it, the snow was powdery. It had been cold for a while, so the driveway was colder than the snow, so the snow wasn't melting and getting slushy and so forth. We're supposed to get a rain and snow mix for tomorrow, and a lot of you guys have told me that I should turn this thing into a slush pump. And the way you do it is, see these rubber pads, the way they're bolted down there? And you can see as I'm turning it, I'm actually sweeping up the filings from drilling and so forth. Without the pads, you see how much space there is? And what happens with this machine is it gradually builds up ice, and then it plugs up the chute, and leads to Harvey being cranky. So, I made these little pieces of metal. I'll show you that in a second. Cut the little rubber pads. I'll show you where I got those from. Drilled it and bolted through. I kind of used a cardboard cutout for a template for the rubber pad there. It's actually a piece of belt. To drill the impeller, after I made I don't know, do we want to call it backing metal? This little plate. Could have used washers probably, but I decided to use a plate because it'd hold it down more uniformly. To drill the impeller, to keep the impeller from turning, I just put this wood block in the way, like this. Well, like this, and then put the impeller up against it. So when I push down on it, it wouldn't spin. This impeller metal's some pretty decent metal, so it was difficult to drill. This is the belt material I used. You get this from Harbor Freight, and I guess they use it on tractors. They splice them together, and it's considered a wide multi-purpose belt, and you can see how I cut pieces of it. Just a few tricks that I noticed. First, I made the little plates out of this stuff, right? The backing plates. I started out by drilling the bigger hole for the, what am I using? I don't know. Are these quarter 20s? I think those are quarter 20s. So I used quarter 20s. So I drilled the larger hole first. And I drilled the hole in this that was up against there. So it kind of gives you a corner, right? A corner of the rubber pad and this piece of metal. So once I drilled it out, I just put this on top like this. Once again, picture a hole in it, and I drilled through. That wasn't good enough. You weren't going to get a bolt through that. You weren't going to force a bolt through that. So then I just used this bit here, and one side then the other, to enlarge the hole to make it so that you can put the bolt through the rubber. Then you push the bolt up through the hole in the impeller, right? You push it up through the rubber pad, you put the metal backer on top, lock washer, and tighten it right down. So tomorrow we're going to find out how well this whole thing works with the weather. So wish me luck on that. I went out today deliberately to buy some fresh gasoline for this thing. The last thing I want to do is fill it from a contaminated tank. So hopefully, and I ran it out of gas, completely out of gas. Unfortunately, this does not have a turnoff on it. And if you're familiar with the way the tank sits on there and the shielding and so forth, there's not an easy way to put a turnoff on it unless you run the hose through hill and dale and everything else, and then you might have trouble getting it to feed to the carburetor. So anyway, I just ran it until it was completely out of gas. So hopefully when I fill it up tomorrow, it'll take it right away. Putting this back together is fairly easy. They have the bolts are squared, so you just kind of push them up and hold them through, and put this thing right back on. Right, this thing for the top, there's just a piece of metal that kind of goes along the bottom that keeps it from falling off. Once again, another couple of bolts. One bolt here. So about 6 bolts from now it'll be ready to go. Before I take this thing out again, I also want to grease it. It's got a few grease fittings there. I greased it before 2 times ago when it didn't start. So then I used it, so I do want to grease it again. There's not all that much time on the oil. Probably at the end of the season I'll change the oil. Once again, fresh gas. What else is there? So anyway, tomorrow I'll I don't know if I have, depending on what the storm is like and how much of a hurry I'm in. I deliberately did spray the inside. Last time I did use it, I sprayed the inside of that with some anti-stick, some silicone stuff, and that did seem to help. You guys are familiar with my driveway. It's nice and long. Then you have a huge area, and then I kind of back the cars, and that huge area, it's kind of hard to toss the snow far enough without tossing it twice, so to speak, out of the center. And if this, a lot of times with slushy snow, the second time you toss it, it really bulks up and it gets hard to move. So hopefully with the slush pump on this thing, it'll toss snow all the way to the moon for me, and so I won't even have to worry about it on the property. So we'll see how it does. But once again, there's a close-up of it. How much does something like that cost? I mean, the quartered 20s, nuts and bolts, what are they, $2.20 a pound at Tractor Supply. This belt was $20, and I think I have enough for another few snow blowers. I only used a couple of inches of it. I could have cut up a tire, but every tire I kind of walked up to, and how about this one? No, it's not quite right. No, not this one, not that one. So I saw this just waiting there for me, and I went for it. I also saw at Home Depot, they have in the plumbing area where they keep the soldering flux and the pipe dope, the chemicals, basically the plumbing chemicals, let's call them, the solvents for putting together pipe, the glue and all for putting together PVC pipe. They also had a, they call it plumber's gasket. It wasn't quite this thick, but it looked like that could possibly work also. So, I don't know, whatever you guys want to do. You can also buy them cut and pre-made and ready to go, including the backing plates. You can buy them on eBay. I think the guy is trying to get $50 for a set of 3. So that's another way of doing it. So I'm about to take your suggestions, and we're going to try this thing out to see what kind of slush pump it is. Having worked on water pumps, vacuum pumps, and all that, I mean, this is a little crude, but that's all there is on a water pump. So this thing should really toss some nice snow for me. At least that's what I'm hoping. Before I do put it together, I'm probably going to spray that area with the silicone spray. I don't have it here. It's dry lube, I think dry lubrication spray, I think it's called. So I'm probably going to spray all that while I can, right? I'm able to get in there fairly easily with that off. Right now the can's inside because, as you know, the cans lose all kinds of pressure leaving them out here below freezing. All right, so that's what I did. We'll see how it does. Everyone, I want you all to keep your heads up and keep your feet down. I want you all to get out and enjoy each and every day. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you had any kind of problem with it, please put in a comment. Thanks now. Bye.